We'll be starting. All right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to be starting our last meeting of the calendar year for the Lynn Zoning Board of Appeals for tonight, December 2nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. We'll be having a roll call of the members present, please.
Member Payas? Present. Member Massey? Absent. Member Gilbane?
Present.
Member Christopher?
Here.
Member Crowitz? Absent. Member Maggio? Absent. Member Olson?
Present.
And Member Lopez Hernandez.
Present. All right, we have a quorum. Before we get to tonight's business, in relation to the last meeting minutes, if anybody has any edits or any changes, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
So moved.
All right, I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. We'll be starting with our continued case number 10110 Federal Street. Since this is a continued case, we do not have to do the full reading, so we can go and jump straight ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Attorney Sam Vitale. I represent the petitioner. Jim Lamar is here. You recall we were here in the, I guess, in the month of June, and thereafter we, each side took a second look at this, but I wanted to at least put into the record how we got back to you. So I brought 3 copies of the remand order from the Superior Court. The sheet itself. So that got us back to you, and clearly is recognized in the agreement I gave you the last time. I think if you read the last paragraph with respect to it, it says, no matter what anybody says, it's your decision. But to refresh your recollection, and this is about the parcel that's across what's known as Federal Street, adjacent to Market Basket. I know at one point there was some question about, who the petitioner is. I show you the plan you submitted if you recall. I'll break the phone call. You see this plan says DSN. Well, DSN is the rule of supermarkets. Now, the earth is changing beneath our feet. There's a new zone ordinance. There's at least a change in the leadership at the top of Demoulas. Those are circumstances that we didn't have when I was here last on this matter. But we're talking about that. What I recall used to be what the factory of the future was what's now the Market Basket. And for years it was the General Electric Measurements Division on this other parcel. When we filed the last time, I submitted the deed, and I won't bore you with the gory details other than to say, if you look at the deed, there are at least, they're numbered. There are 20 restrictions in the deed. The significant one that relates to the requisites for the granting of a hardship is the reference in the deed, and I brought with me, if you have trouble sleeping one night, you can read these, the recorded history of the DEP's filing what's called an activity and use limitation because of the hazardous waste that are in the property. Going back to the first one was filed by the DEP on the General Electric site in 2000. Then it was thereafter in 2012 a First Amendment, and then in 2023 a Second Amendment. And then a confirmatory amendment. So these are the restrictions that relate to the soil conditions. And short story is that when they made these devices, there were wastes that went into the ground that have shelf lives for long periods of time. If you've been out to the site, you'll see on the back property near where the DeMarcus Enterprises are, there's a pump kind of station that deals and monitors with the air. So I would suggest to you that These documents, as referenced in the deed which we submitted to you, but I'll give you these, are all of the matters that relate to the soil condition. It is also a lot of regulation. If you recall when we were here last, the question was striking a balance, it seemed to me, between three things. One was the activity that was taking place. The second is the municipal activities and other activities that take place. And the third is the impact in terms of the neighborhood. Well, I would suggest to you, if you've been there, you'll see DeMarcus Enterprises has tractor trailers traverse Federal Street every day, and they use it for industrial purposes. There's a contractor's yard directly across a private right-of-way that separates that contractor's yard or non-accessory parking, whatever it is, from this lot. And then there's the question of the uses of this lot. And as Mr. Olson was spared reading the list of activities that were in the petition, but if I can just recount them, essentially there were municipal activities. And again, you have changes beneath our feet. When I was here last, 4 times a year, the city of Lynn had carnivals at the front end towards Western Avenue. I've been told that that's changed. And the difference is that the carnivals are going to be there 2 times a year, but for 2 weeks each. So instead of having 4 over a period of time, they're going to have essentially 2 carnivals, 2 weeks each. They use the front portion of this lot. The fire department continues to use a rear portion of the lot for training and for parking of the firefighters who are on call at the station and the headquarters. Again, another change. When I was here last, we talked about the fact that the rear end of the lot from the months of about 15 December to April were available to the city for use as the city toll lot. That's when it snows and the city has to remove vehicles. They have to have a place to put them, and this was the place. I met with the parking director. I met with the director of the EDIC, and the city has made an alternative arrangement, in fact, I think with the EDIC, to park down on Blossom Street. So that use and that portion of the lot that was dedicated to that no longer has that need or use. However, the city does maintain in the new zone ordinance that essentially the cities, I love what they did. In the new zone ordinance, one of the things they did is that the city's not subject to the zone limits. The second thing they did is that the city can put a snow lot wherever they decide. So the portion that we always reserved as a snow lot still remains available as a snow lot. So back to the question of balance. The balance is between the use of the city and then what's the use of this lot. It has been used for the prepping or the packaging of new vehicles that are used in the Avis rent-a-car business at Logan Airport. So vehicles come, they get offloaded. That was a source of friction and concern with respect to the impact on the neighborhood. So the operators of the lot carved out sort of like a donut hole so that the car carriers come in and they can offload. The second was the capacity of the lot. The lot's got a tremendous capacity, but there was an agreement to limit the number of vehicles, which was also a concern. So with respect to what has happened since I was here last, the city had brought an action to a separate action to require that activity cease and desist. That was one action. And then I brought a second action, which was appealing the denial of the variance the last time. And the judges consolidated that, and then my brother and I submitted, and I think a copy was given to you. I could give you a copy of a joint remand. In other words, we agreed to have it sent back to you, and that's the order that spells out. And I certainly, if I don't have it, Jim will have it, what the judge decided about sending it back. So we're back before you. We're back before you with the changes I've identified. The zone ordinance has changed, not favorably for this petitioner, but this petitioner filed before the change in the zone ordinance. And so we're under the old zone ordinance that gives you the authority to grant a use variance if you so decide. The other is that with respect, as I pointed out the last time, this lot's had 4 different zone districts in its history. And when it was fruitful to have the market basket developed, it was gone from industrial to business to back to industrial to now it's R&D. When the market basket was in fact built, to give you an idea of what the soil conditions like, if you've been there, you can see it's elevated. There's like 6 feet of fill between the real level and where the market basket begins, because one of the requirements of these activity use limitations is that you take certain steps to ensure that it's encapsulated and there are no hazardous waste that can be emitted. So this, I think, parcel is unique for the reasons I stated. There's a restrictive covenant. It has the activity use limitation. And so the real question is, going forward, what can it be done with? The city has a desire to develop, research and develop. And the owners of the parcel share that hope. But the reality is, given the economic climate and circumstances, whether that's going to happen tomorrow or if it did, whether it would come to fruition in the next 2 or 3 years remains to be seen. So in the interim, the owner entered into an agreement with the city of Lynn, which I think I gave you at the last meeting, at which these issues that you all identified, we believe were addressed, at least to the satisfaction of the parties. Whether they were addressed to your satisfaction remains to be seen. But with respect to those, we tried to take up every issue that we heard in good faith negotiations that were had, at least from, I can tell you, above my grade level. And I don't know about Jim, but so we're the instruments, and we're reporting to you. But I'm here to suggest that I think for a short range solution that satisfies the needs of both the petitioner, the city, and does so with the least impact, given some of the suggestions that you folks made, that are incorporated in that agreement. And I don't know whether you shared that, but I know I gave it to you, and I know Jim's got it. And so we're prepared, if you so desire. First, I'll answer questions you may have, but I think the big changes I've identified. We're under the old zone ordinance, the new zone ordinance is effect. The city's made some changes in its use. The operator has made some changes to conform to what the concerns that were expressed with respect to the operation. The property pays substantial real estate taxes. It doesn't burden city services. In fact, it helps with city services. And I think that with respect to the request tonight, it would be to formalize or adopt, should you desire, so to speak, what was negotiated by others, but it's up for your determination and consideration.
Thank you very much. I believe that
Needed Christopher.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Colin? Yes.
Yeah. So when we got the notices of the second lawsuit, I went online and I looked into this. I saw that in the first case, there was an injunction issued by the judge that said you need to cease the operations. I drive by that site every day. It was still operating.
That was the date. That order was to kick in on the day after the last Board of Appeals meeting. So that the judge issued an order prospective because he knew that he hadn't made a final determination on, I didn't represent
I know you did.
the petitioner in that matter, but that was in the Superior Court, I think, in Lawrence on the cease and desist. So when I brought my action, they consolidated the two. And then when it was one judge had both cases, And that judge, I think, I can't speak for Attorney Perry, but I think that judge understood that an aggrieved party has a right to an appeal of a variance. And so what he allowed was he consolidated the cases, and then on my part, I got authorization to try to resolve the matter. So I worked only on the zoning case.
But, so I get that, but how, so I know you have a right to appeal and everything else, and it's the period of time in between the judge issues the injunction and all summer long there's an operation taking place that I don't understand how that, it doesn't violate the court order.
There were ongoing negotiations between the mayor, our economic and planning team, and the property owner and the legal counsel. So I was instructed not to go into court for contempt action.
Okay.
I do not know if the cases have been consolidated, to be honest with you, but,
I think it's the same judge.
well, maybe the same judge, but I think the two different docket numbers, but I can certainly check the doc.
If the city was in communication, then I don't have an issue with them.
Yeah, and I have, and I can give you, or the clerk of all of you, the copies of the remand order, which the judge sort of carefully spells out all of these steps,
No,
including the last paragraph that says it's up to you.
yeah, I understand that. And as far as, so how will this property be assessed, assuming we go forward with this?
Tax-wise?
Yeah, is it still gonna?
Oh, it's still commercial, yeah.
It's just commercial.
Yeah, I paid $73,000 in taxes last year.
Okay.
I have a question for Attorney Lamanna. So originally, the board made a determination, negotiations happened, we were shared an MOU and agreement. What is the city stance now at this point, having had continued the case by petition of the city and the party involved?
Speaking with the mayor's office and the economic development team, they had every intention of coming tonight to speak in favor of that settlement agreement. Since that settlement agreement was entered, the property owner has violated it with a number of cases. So it's entirely up to this board. They're not going to speak in favor because of the violations and the breaches of that settlement agreement that continue to this day.
Well, let me just say this. One of the things we've learned in terms of, if I were to stand here and say that every day there's the same number of cars, that's not true. It's dynamic. It's never the same number. I have accounts from September. Some days there's 293. One day there was 493.
We have multiple days over 500.
Yeah.
We have drones that come and take
So,
pictures.
but the agreement says what it says.
500, like
We
500.
tried to arrive at it. And I think Mr. Janeski was here last time explaining what happens every 2 years. They change the model years, and there was a bump up. That's why I asked to get a schedule from the Carnival people, and I was surprised that when they gave me a schedule that said 2 weeks, and then I asked to get a schedule from Avis, and they gave me, but they said it could be X on one day and Y on the next. This is 24/7 security. Somebody's on at 7 in the morning, somebody's on at 6 at night. They do a count. They send a count to the lessor and the lessee. And I could, as I say, I've got counts from different days taken at random. I drive there like every day to get coffee at Market Basket. And some days it looks like a ghost town, and some days it looks like it's gangbusters. But if you did take a close look, you'd see that one of the reasons it looks expansive is they carved out this donut hole. And the carriers couldn't, I think you made the point, the carriers couldn't make the turn off of Center Street. And so the question was how to do that and when to do that. So A, they limited the times to 7 a.m. and no later than 6 p.m. Secondly, they found a way in that takes them to the middle of the lot to offload, so they're not on the street. That was one of the concerns. And then they've got this 24/7 security people, and they count. And they do counts. But when I looked at the counts, I would say two things to you. I don't think I saw one day where the number of vehicles was the same. And if I stood here and said, in 365, by the way, when we talk about a year, as I pointed out the last time, we never had a year because 4 months were the toll lot and now 2 weeks of the carnival. So whatever amount of time it was used, I don't think anybody unless they, stand there with an armed guard, because sometimes I can't fault the car carrier driver shows up, he told to go to a particular place, and they turn him away. So the goal is, and it's stated, is at the 500. And that was down from obviously what the operators wanted, but it was what that was agreed upon was 500. And I've got counts from about September on, which I could show you the various numbers. They change virtually every single day. But the highest count I got most recently was, I think, on or about Veterans Day. It was like close to 493.
Mr. Poole was on site 2 weeks ago, and the counter said there was 518 cars. So their own counter admitted that they violated the agreement.
Well, we were off by 18.
Well, appreciate it. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got just a couple. So I see in the agreement that there's supposed to be a plan that shows where the cars are to be parked.
And we changed that, and that's one of the reasons why, to deal with that, that's why we've experimented. But if you've gone by, what we were going to show was the donut, what I call the donut hole, sort of in the center. That way the trucks can come in, turn around, offload, and the vehicles go this way.
So the plan is going to include how the trucks enter and leave the property,
Always, yeah.
where vehicles are allowed to park and not allowed to park. Are there 500 stalls to be marked out on the site?
They could be, but the lot has capacity of like 1,000.
I mean,
But the donut hole is sort of right in the center. If you were standing at the exit at Market Basket that goes on to Federal Street at the front end towards Western Ave, and you looked across, that's where the donut hole is.
yeah, but the agreement says it'll show where the cars are allowed to be parked on the lot. So
Well,
has that?
but I only confirmed with the parking director within the last week that the city's not going to use it for the tow lot, which makes a difference in terms of the whole back end from December to April was kept for the city's tow lot. The parking director told me that they made an alternative plan. So now I didn't know that until a week ago. I thought I had heard that, but I had to confirm that. So before we could give you a final plan, I had to learn two things. One was when and where was the carnival?
You're not moving the capital. The capital's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're going to stay right at the front.
They're going to
They about the first third.
So, I mean,
They're going to the ICP. They're not going to be going on Mr. Vasquez's place.
yeah, the property can hold more than 500 cars,
Yes.
probably up to 1,000 cars, is what I'm hearing. We don't want 1,000 cars.
Right.
We want 500. So we specifically want to know where the 500 cars are going to be. And there's no other cars there. I mean, if you can't keep 500, I'm at a point where now you spray paint is where they park and you number every single one. And once it hits 500, that's it. They go away.
Well, that's what the instructions are.
So yeah, but it hasn't been followed.
Human beings.
Who is responsible for ordering the cars and managing what's coming and going? And
Avis has people.
putting together that
There are three different.
whole manifest.
There are three different persons with responsibility. One works for Avis. One works for the security company. One works for the lessee.
So
But the security guy is the one we've been relying on.
All right, so somebody needs to be the coordinator or supervisor of the whole thing. If somebody's bringing the cars and leaving the cars in order.
Since the security's there 24/7.
But they have no idea what's coming and going.
No. They're there to make sure nobody comes on, including the
They're
car
not the
carrier.
security, that's their role. Their role isn't bringing the cars, take away the cars. They're not ordering what's coming on.
We tried to pick somebody that didn't work for Avis,
Yeah,
and so we chose the security company. They're there 24/7.
the agreement.
There's nothing that says who the security guards need to be. The fire department set up drones on 2 occasions, and both occasions there were more than 500 cars. So.
Yeah, so they have a concern. The other thing is the opening in the gate is insufficient for the trucks to make the journey. It wasn't.
You come in on the right of way and take that in. There's an entrance in with that passageway between Center Street and Federal Street, which is a private way.
Yeah.
If you come in that way, you can enter the lot without having to turn around and through on Center Street.
So they're able to maintain their lane and get through that gate with the trailing.
That's why the security guard's there.
I'd like to see what that turning, like show what that turning movement is on that plan.
I'll have a plan drawn, and I'll also make the suggestion that you say that they number spaces. I mean, they're pretty religious about how they park.
Right. So it shouldn't be a problem. And then, I mean, just temporary markings on.
But I can tell you what the pushback's gonna be, they're gonna say to me, well, what if it happens this day and we don't put it in that space, but we have, we're not exceeding the number, but we, for whatever reason, we don't use that space. I mean, the lot,
I was looking at the agreement says this is where cars are allowed to be parked. They want it.
yeah, I think we can give you that plan now that we know the toll lot's not at that end,
Yeah.
and the carnival's only at this end too.
I'm not going this. I'm sorry, explain that.
Right, and where the vehicles on the property are going to be loaded and unloaded.
Yes,
There's no unloading in the public right.
absolutely, yeah. We've turned carriers away.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a turning movement on how trucks take that turn and their back wheels don't hit the gate.
I can ask these people to do a
Yeah.
plan.
Anybody knows if you take a truck and you got a narrow street, the back wheels,
Well, that's why starting to turn on that, the private way is more than 40 feet wide.
yeah, but people park and drive two ways on that street. So if somebody's coming down the
They shouldn't be parking there.
there's parking there. I parked there myself.
That's a private way.
No, not on that street, but the other. Is the entrance
Oh, you're
on?
talking about Center Street?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's a public way.
right. So do they come in off of Center Street or do they come in off of?
We told them to come down. If you see, there's a sign that,
How do they get through the fence?
the traffic is supposed to enter from Western Avenue and proceed on Federal Street. Whether it's the DeMarcus trucks, city trucks, the car carrier trucks, because Federal Street also is not a public way, it's a private way.
So I'd like to see the gains with the truck, and this plan doesn't show that, you know. It shows gates off of Center Street. One looks like a pedestrian gate. One you might be able to put a car, the other one's a wider one. But if you're coming off of this easement here, you're not gonna be able to make that turn.
Well, that's why I think they chose the center of the lot as the donut hole.
Yeah, so I want to see what those turning movements that they can negotiate. In my opinion, I think that gate needs to be wider and maybe in a different location possibly, once they look at that. And so the other concern I have is there a planned truck route for this? Obviously, coming up Federal Street, they can get in that way, they'd have to go out that way. But I seen a truck leave and go to Boston Street and not be able to negotiate the turn. And once they're on Boston Street, they can't make any turns off of.
Well,
East side
that's
street
since,
out there. They get stuck there. So,
they built that rotary
Yeah,
on Marion in North, in front of the Hibernian. Yeah, that rotary's tight.
yeah. But also, if
But there's a sign, I
you go
believe,
up the backside,
I
the
believe,
Hibernia and out the back street there, I forget
I
the.
believe that there are signs that govern deliveries of the market basket vehicles.
Right.
B, the Water Hill trucks, because they come down and park at the rear of the market basket lot, that's so-called A lot, this lot.
So whoever's delivering should be educated that when they leave the property to not go down those particular roads.
That can be part of, I don't think that was in the agreement, but we can make it.
Because I saw them, they got stuck there, so they probably had to get a police detail to get themselves out of trouble. It was on the, traffic at the end of the day, everybody was stuck all the way, both ways, going down Boston Street, trying to go up and down side street to get out of there. So, we don't want that to be a regular occurrence. So,
See Member Gilbert.
yeah,
No, I didn't want to cut you off.
no, I'm good.
While we've got Attorney Lamont here, just for my edification, but as Attorney Vitale pointed out, when we started this journey together, we were under the old zoning ordinance. we're now considering it, we've got a new zoning ordinance. Is it the city's position that we are, like, as I consider this, I should be looking at the old zoning ordinance?
It relates back to the original filing. Our current zoning ordinance does not allow for use variance, so the petition couldn't be brought down under the zoning ordinance. So
Yeah.
they didn't make a timely appeal and wise strategic move to apply under the full zoning ordinance.
So this thing has a sunset of a year?
Proposed agreement that the mayor and the EDIC team worked out with the market basket folks had a proposed 1 year, and they could not come back and get a variance.
And I know when they originally constructed Market Basket or negotiated its development, there was a special permit associated with that and a number of terms. This was sort of under that to develop the site under what would be the new zoning at some point, right? That was the idea. Obviously, things changed. I look at this as a negotiation of that special permit or extension of that in a way. But after a year, you know, I would have a problem with extending it beyond a year.
That was the agreement that was worked out between the mayor and the representatives from Market Basket was 1 year with the other stipulations in the agreement. There's some concerns that they could not honor the agreement before it came back to you. So that's why you don't see Mr. Cowdell or the planning department here or anybody from the mayor's office.
So the city has withdrawn its,
They're not going to speak in favor because of the repeated violations of the settlement agreement.
So if we put a condition on it that if they exceed 500 cars, can our ruling be null and void?
That could be added, there's certain conditions that,
The agreement that I think was drafted talks about default.
Yeah, so any violation over 500 immediately would be terminated, and all cars would have to come off the site.
Again, we were involved, but the agreement speaks for itself, but I know I looked at that. There's a default provision, yes.
so again, ultimately, it's your decision. I think at a baseline, what was included in the agreement was what the economic team wanted in there. If there are other conditions that the zoning board had, that the state law gives you folks the power, the mayor and the EDIC could not negotiate an agreement that bypassed the zoning board of appeals.
Right. But that would hold up if they violate that special provision.
Ultimately, it's up to a guy in the black room.
Yeah.
If it's a condition that they were aware of and they violate it, I'd be prepared to.
Yeah, you should, I know that the drafters of the memorandum, I would say that I was one of those that urged that there be something in writing, but I can't say that I claim authorship of the ultimate product. But I know, I looked at, there are provisions for violations that are in the agreement.
Yeah, but they're in violation already, so that's my concern.
But
So
I'm
if
just
there's a violation-
I'm just being realistic.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that if I stood here and said there'll never be more than 500 cars, I might truly believe that. But I also know that I can't control all kinds of factors. What if there was a storm? I don't know. I'm just saying to you that there's no question that that's the stated number. But I've had them doing accounts over the last 2 to 3 months, and what I saw was it's never the same number, and it shifts from like 400 to 200. I mean, and I go there every day, and you look and you'll say,
Yeah, we wouldn't have a problem if it's between 200 and 400, but when it's over the agreement.
This was a 500 was voluntarily agreed upon for both parties.
Right.
To say that I can't guarantee you we can always stay under 500, well, you signed this agreement and said you're going to stay under 500.
Right. So to me, that's the high end. So you should be operating at a number lower, just in case something shows up.
well, now we got that
It still won't
flexibility,
be at 500.
because
That's.
I don't think we need to be concerned about the total lot. We don't need to be concerned other than if there's a huge storm on snow storage, and there are fixed dates we know the carnival's coming.
Yeah.
but that would lessen the number, like, that's the number that was in the contract, or that proposed.
Which one? Which use?
We're not saying there was no snowstorm when these.
I'm just saying that I've watched it almost every day, all right? And I've seen that it's never the same number. And I know what the limit is. So, and we paid fines with respect to, before the agreement was resolved. So, and I think that's what my recollection of reading one of the orders of the judge was. He told the city on the case you asked about, well, then fine him.
Or get a contempt order, go to court and have them.
He said, go out, count, and fine him. That's what he said. I think, I wasn't there, but that's what I read in the decision of the judge.
They allowed the city's injunction.
I don't,
Well, they did. They've got 30 days to move the car, but there was negotiations. I would point out that the new zone ordinance, it's $300 per car. It's not $300 per day. It was pretty clear that they had no problem writing a check for $300 for a violation every day back in the spring, because it was a business that was very profitable. But under the new zone ordinance, and we have the ability with a drone to know exactly how many cars are there. The 2 times that I requested the fire department to go up, because I drove by, just like Attorney Vitale did, and I said, there's more than 500 cars, and there were more than 500 cars the whole times that I asked the drone to go up.
So what was the maximum amount of cars that they identified?
He is our enforcement officer.
Looking at here what the drone do. Does that? That's 532, if it's not less than 500 that day, if they can't.
532, that was the maximum?
That's on that day.
Do you know what the maximum was?
Over 600 one day.
Over 600?
I remember because I put a phone call into them, they were supposed to give me these car counts they're talking about. I never got the car count, but I got was a voicemail that said, this is Alan Janetsky, just touching base in the paraphrase. They thought there were 455 cars, obviously they were mistaken, I apologize, they're going to be coming down, they're going to be removing some of the cars, they'll get it down to 500 or below. Here's your fundamental problem, whatever condition you put on this, unenforceable. You have so many different parties, all the way from Janetsky, the Patsios, to the LLC, to Avis, and independent people driving these car carriers in and out, they don't work for any of them. They're independent contractors. The idea that they'll be educated on where to drive, how to drive, not to go on the street is complete fantasy. Complete fantasy. So the last time you guys denied this petition, it's worse now. Because they made an agreement and they violated the agreement.
Mr. Burke, can you give us just an idea of like, since we came to this agreement, like just a ballpark, like how much we're using in resources to monitor compliance?
So I'm there quite a bit. The fire department is spending time putting that expensive drone up in the air and taking photographs. They have to analyze the photographs, put that together, which is a compilation of a bunch of PDFs. Sometimes we use AI to count the cars, so it's a lot of time. And whatever agreement is made, if an agreement is made, it's gonna take more time, because to take their word that it's gonna be 500 cars, as I mentioned before, is scandalous.
Yeah, my concern too is there's nobody ultimately responsible for the entire operation.
No connection between any of them.
So you can't go to anybody,
So I go down and talk to the person on the lot. Sometimes it's somebody from a security company, sometimes it's somebody from Avis, sometimes it's somebody from Janetsky's company, and there doesn't seem to be any connection. And, you know, whatever the case, you have neighbors there. I just got a contact last week from neighbors complaining about cars on the streets. And if you look at where they come up on the Center Street side, almost all the way down to where that right of way is.
Right.
They drive up the center, they destroy that curve, someone has hit that telephone pole. There's like damage all the time. And I've seen these huge car carriers, and they're different sizes, some as long as 90 feet, who can't make that corner. So it's just, it's a bad, in my opinion, it's a bad deal for the city to allow that to happen there. And the idea that I'm going to be able to enforce it effectively moving forward, report something back to you that you later becomes part of another lawsuit that maybe gets appealed. I think you guys made the right decision the first time, denied it, and it's only worse now.
All right. Any further question, or can we move on to the next steps? All right. Thank you very much. Is there anybody here in attendance that would like to speak in favor of the petition for Federal Street? Anybody here to speak in favor? All right, seeing none. Anybody here in attendance who would like to speak against who wishes to speak against the petition? That might be in attendance. Seeing none. All right. I'm gonna put a motion to deny the petition, same as the previous case that we heard and we had originally denied. This hasn't really changed my mind. The fact that the current way that the operation is going is very nebulous. There's a lot of parties involved. And the fact that the MOU is for 1 year doesn't instill in me great confidence that being able to maintain the level of cars will be achievable, because there is a deadline and that is being expected. Why put up so much effort in a year, for example? So I don't feel very confident about this. So at least that I will put that motion in. If anybody else feels differently, more than happy to have that motion reverted. And
I'll second the motion with the thought is, I think both parties tried to come to an agreement and they've already violated that agreement. So I have no confidence that they'll continue to follow the agreement. So I second that motion.
right, we have a motion, we have second, and we'll have a vote.
1 second. Member Payas to deny.
Motion to deny. Like, a large piece of that was the community input that it has, and it seems that a lot of those resources are going to other publicly owned areas. So there's not much benefit for the city.
I also would just like to speak before we vote. I think that this use is clearly something that I don't think is in the best interest of the city. I think it detracts from a lot of the goals that the city has with that area. We see the issues, or we just heard the issues about transporting all these cars in such a congested area with using trucks of this size. And I also, as far as the standard for variance goes, I think it's tough to say, okay, we have a substantial hardship now, but in 1 year, we're going to develop this into something that is going to comply with our zoning codes. So I just don't think that the standards have been met, and I also think it's troubling that it has sort of gone on for as long as it has. And I'd also like to echo a lot of what people said about the breaches of the understanding that the developer had with the city, or not the developer, or the property owner. With that said, if ongoing communication between the property owner and the city happens, and we are able to figure this out, that might change things. But at this point, I just don't think that the standards for variance have been met. And even on such a short-term basis, I don't think it's going to benefit the city.
Thank you, Member Christopher.
Member Gilvain to deny.
Yeah, I'm totally sympathetic to the argument that based on spec right now in this market is not the best right now. But I just wish that the agreement hadn't been already filed. So I would do that.
All right.
Member Christopher to deny.
Yes to deny.
Member Olson
Yes, to deny.
and Member Lopez Hernandez.
Yes to deny. All right. That concludes our business with case number 10110 Federal Street. And we will be taking a 2-minute recess real quick, and we will continue then with our case number 10126 Maplewood Road. All right. Continuing on with our business, we have new cases. We'll start with case number 10126 109 Maplewood Road, and we will have a reading of the case.
109 Maplewood Road, Lynn, Massachusetts, parcel number 099-151-034, Petitioner, Gary Stubblefield, 109 Maplewood Road, Lynn, Massachusetts. Zoning Board of Appeal Case 10126. To vary pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 10 of the provisions of the City of Lynn Zone Ordinance to allow the construction of an addition to the rear of a single-family home located in the R1 district within 6.9 feet of the rear yard line, where 15 feet is required. The variance request requires the Zoning Board of Appeals to specifically find that owing to circumstances relating to the soil conditions, shape, or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of such ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Olson, and we will hear from the petitioner. You can please state your name and address on the microphone. That'd be great.
I'm Gary Stubblefield, 109 Maplewood Road, Inlet.
I'm Tony Salaleco. I'm his contractor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Where's he from?
What's your address?
19 Rainbow Circle, PB, Mass.
All right, we're ready to hear your case.
Well, we're looking to get a variance on the property line. We want to add an addition to the back of the house for my son and his fiance and the 2 children. And because of the way the shape of the property is, it just made sense to go straight back instead of on a funny angle. And Tony would be able to help you out with some of the understanding why.
Any questions from the board related to this case? The petition?
So I'm looking at 6.9 feet in one corner here to one lot, and then 8 to another and 9.1 to another. Is that
Yes.
Correct.
Two and a half stories. Is the extension also going to be 2.5 stories? Is it going to be the same height?
Single.
Single?
Yep.
and then it's a pre-existing non-conforming because right back with side of 8, right? Can you tell me how far the corner that 6 foot to the lot line, how far is it to the next house about, do you know?
Probably over 20 feet.
Yeah, to one of,
To the actual structure? The other structure?
yeah,
I'm guesstimating, yeah.
yeah, it's a weird lot shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 3 lots that are
Right.
dog-legging off. So like they're all in the same boat.
Right.
Because how are you gonna get back there?
Hard way.
Through the house.
I'm making them do,
Yeah, it's like,
well, we weren't thinking about adding on until my son and had 2 kids, and then makes it hard for him to buy a home. So we're trying to add on and help him out.
Right. I don't really have any additional questions since the reason for the variance is mostly related to the rear, the 6.9 feet. Instead of 15, there aren't any other things that are not right now being under consideration. It is a very oddly shaped lot. It's not, yeah. It's not a rectangular lot, that's for sure. I don't have any other All right, thank you very much. Anybody here who is in attendance that would like to speak in favor of 109 Maple Road? Anybody here in favor? Seeing none. Anybody here who is in attendance who would like to speak against the petition 109 Maplewood Road? Seeing none, what is the wish of the board?
Motion to grant.
Second.
Mr. Olson and Member Payas, second.
Member Payas to grant?
Motion grant.
Member Gilvain to grant?
Yes to grant.
Member Christopher to grant?
Yes.
Member Olson to grant?
Yes, to grant.
Member Lopez Hernandez to grant?
Yes to grant. All right, that'll be all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving along, we have our next case tonight, case number 10127 490-492 Eastern Avenue. We'll have a reading of the case.
492 Eastern Avenue in Massachusetts, parcel number 097-464-029. Eugene Clement, 490 Eastern Avenue in Massachusetts, by its attorney Samuel A. Vitale, Zoning Board of Appeals Case 10127. To vary pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 10, provisions of the City of Lynn zoning ordinance to convert a two-family home with a commercial unit on the ground floor in the R3 medium-density residential district into a three-family dwelling. The existing structure does not meet the front yard setback requirements and exceeds the maximum 80% impervious lot coverage requirement of the City of Lynn zoning ordinance. The variance request requires the Zoning Board of Appeals to specifically find the owing to circumstances relating to soil conditions, shape, or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, and not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of such ordinance.
Thank you. I'm Attorney Vitale. This is Gene Clements, who owns the property. He has his office on the first floor of this, is a three-family building, really. Before the zone ordinance, there were businesses located on the first floor. In 1942, the Board of Appeals granted a variance at 490 that says the following: convert the existing first-story floors to one-family apartment. Character of the building changed from a two-family to a three-family. Extend the present stairs from the second floor to the third floor. That is how it existed for many years when the city decided to change the zoning. One might say they put it in the spots and they took this going and made it a business district 3, which then allowed a permit to be granted not to Gene but to a predecessor as a real estate office. The city then had it as so it went from essentially R1, which has made this building pre-existing non-conforming, to B3, and then it went back to R1, and then it now is R3. But the bottom line is that the character of the use is what the character of that neighborhood is, which is residential. And in fact, this building has been used and is laid out as a three-family dwelling. The difference now is that not only did the zone district change, but the dimensional regulations change. So it's a corner lot. And it used to be that on a corner lot you had two fronts, and you still do. But it also used to be that if you had a front setback equal to what your neighbors were, even though it wasn't the requisite minimum 10 feet, that was okay. So this lot's on the corner. You've seen the plot plan, I believe and hope, and you'll see that whether it's along Eastern Avenue or it's along what, if you're standing at Eastern Avenue, would be a sideline, but it's really a front setback of Oakwood. neither of those conforms. That's the only dimensional regulation that really isn't satisfied. Impervious lot coverage, 96% of the properties in the city of Lynn don't meet impervious lot coverage. And I think we're hopeful of, because we now have a parking plan, that we can, in fact, put some greenery in. But as I generally do, I go through, what's the character of the use? It's residential. What's the character of the neighborhood? It's residential. Is there adequate, sufficient parking? For a three-family dwelling, you need 5 spaces. Our plot plan shows 5 parking spaces. Then with respect to the table of dimensional regulations, we're pre-existing non-conforming as to that setback requirement, and we're non-conforming as to the impervious lot coverage. Nothing's really changed except either the table of dimensional regulations or the zone district map. So I would suggest that the grant of the petition with respect to adding another residential unit with, in fact, the Board of Appeals in 1942 did exactly that, would be consistent with the character of the neighborhood, would be a lawful expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming use. It goes back to my Jesuit training again about its volume, not essence. So 3 is more than 2, I concede, but it's still the character of the use is residential. And I think that I think Gene's been a good property owner over the years, and his goal is to maintain it as a 3-family dwelling, and whatever else is required of him, whether it's, as Mr. Callen used to say, other jurisdictions having, or other bodies having jurisdiction, obviously he has to conform to those as well, and he will. I'd be glad to answer any questions any member has.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Any questions from the board?
Chris?
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm seeing plenty, more than enough space for parking. The plot plan then has, pavement everywhere else. I understand that, a lot of the properties around Lynn are not going to meet that standard, but that's the standard, that's what.
Believe it or not, the special permit that the city council granted, after they zoned it B3, wanted them to have 7 cars, but that's why they paved the lot.
Yeah, I see, my point is, you've got more than enough pavement to park 5 cars, meet the standard for parking. What I'm wondering is it possible?
Yeah, I mean,
Some of that pavement.
I talked, Mr. Reed did a plan, Mr. Olson requested, Melbourne. When I had Reed go out there, the other thing I liked about the lot, though, I got to tell you this, is that you can access it from Oakwood and from Easton.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So that because it's a corner lot, and I think there's a traffic light there too. So I was concerned about that, but the fact that the traffic can flow, I think at the rear part of the lot is where I would start with some greenery.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm entirely comfortable that there's.
And maybe at the front, in front of the building.
And it would be nice to see a plan that removes some of that pavement.
Yeah.
And puts in some more impervious.
We have to do that.
What I'm seeing in one of the Google Earth imageries is the parking arrangement at some point in time. I believe this is 2025. It's all the way to the back, most of the cars. This seems to show that it's going to be a different arrangement on the parking spaces and how folks might usually park there. So I do see that there's grass plantings around the building on this parking plan identified, which doesn't seem to be in this imagery. Is this being suggested that this is what is being planned to be in terms of greenery to address that, or no?
Some green.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
That's what's existing. So there's maybe 6 feet in the front, I'd say 4 to 5 or 6 on the right if you're going facing the building from Easton, on the open side.
Okay.
And there's also a few feet in the back, in the rear.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way it's currently.
Okay.
And also, I apologize, right behind the building as well, which the barrels up, there's also, I guess, there's grass there, probably 4 or 5 feet there.
Yeah.
So is the thought to put it down where the cars used to park on that shack side?
I'd be willing to, yes.
And I'm thinking like just along there and bring it up. There's an opening here for the cars to get. So behind that fence and over there, just to soften it and make it look more residential, because it was a commercial spot,
Yes.
right? So the idea is you wanted parking spots, right?
Exactly.
What we want to do is make it look more residential.
Yes, and you reckon in the back where I have the,
Maybe here,
Yes.
maybe up to here behind the fence.
that's about where the fence is, so.
Right.
The fence back should add some grass.
Yeah. Even a little shrubbery or something like.
Because
you did.
there is kind of like grass or at least some between the fence and where the current parking spaces have been. There's like 3-4 feet or something of soil.
So from the rear.
Yeah.
Rear of the property, when open that, fixed like rear of the bottom,
Yeah.
there's probably about, I call it 3 feet, maybe grass, shrub, whatever it is.
Yeah. Maybe expanding that.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
So there's grass there and then around the whole building, there's a few feet. It's a little more in the front.
The thing is, you're not increasing the impervious area, but we'd like to see just a little bit of improvement to soften the look, to make it more residential.
I understand.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Alright. Thank you very much. Anybody here who is in attendance that would like to speak in favor of the petition 490 Eastern Avenue? Anybody here to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anybody here who would like to speak against the petition 490-492 Eastern Avenue? Seeing none. All right. What is the wish of the board?
The motion to grant a change of use from mixed use to all residential, and to provide, a provision to provide some additional landscaping around the perimeter, or at least around the sort of the southwest perimeter of the property.
Similar to the Melvin case, Mr. Earlson, is the motion, that stipulation related that we would see that final landscaping plan before it takes effect?
Yeah. Just to be consistent with that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So to grant with stipulations, to grant the change of use to residents, provide additional landscaping around the perimeter of the southwest of the area, and provide a certified landscaping plan. Is that what you want? Okay. Member Payas.
To grant stipulations.
Member Gilwain.
Yes, with stipulations.
Member Christopher.
Yes, with stipulations.
Member Olson.
Yes, with stipulations.
And Member Lopez Hernandez.
Yes, to grant with stipulations. All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Do you want, Oakwood Ave mentioned it all? Like, you know how you were showing Oakwood Ave? So I put, that's paintings, and I put Oakwood Ave right here in the back of the, all that mentioned. I just, okay. All right. Thank you.
Kia dealership.
All right, we'll be moving with our following case number 10128 Lynn Way. We'll have a reading of the case.
811.
811.
811 Lynn Way, Lynn, Massachusetts, parcel number 034-796-011. Jacob Vance,
Yeah.
manager. 811 Lynn Way LLC, SV, and partners. Realistic LLC, DBA, and partners, 60 Hartford Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 02125, by its attorney Samuel A. Vitale, zoning board of appeals case 10128. To vary
Do you want to hold it down?
pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 10, the provisions of the City of Lynn Zoning Ordinance, to allow the construction of a 7-story multifamily building previously approved, case number 1007, now in the RT district, with a lot area per dwelling unit less than allowed. Impervious lot coverage greater than allowed, green space less than allowed, with insufficient efficient parking space in drive aisle dimensions, parking setbacks and buffers, and landscaping buffers as shown on the submitted plans, not in conformity with design standards. The variance request requires the zoning board of appeals to specifically find the owing to circumstances relating to the soil condition, shape or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located. A literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of such ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
I'm Attorney Vitale, thank you. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner. As Mr. Olson read, this request had been approved under the old zone ordinance back, it was case number 10,007. When we were here, I brought a little summary to help refresh my memory and yours. That variance was granted in June of 2022. And then I got an extension in May of 2023. Then the governor had legislation enacted which said any permit that was in effect between January 1st, 2023 and December 31st, or whatever, 2025, you get 2 more years. But notwithstanding that, this is a $100 million building. It hasn't changed. The building footprint is exactly the same. The concept that I proposed the last time with the number of units is the same. And so, again, the earth moves beneath our feet. Some of the things that are good about the new zone ordinance is that we're much more compliant with the required number of parking spaces because the development of this many units only needs 1 space per unit. We did the last one based on 1.5. So some of the changes were beneficial, but the 3 that are outlined there are ones that we can't really comply with under the new zone ordinance. Impervious lot coverage, you're going to hear that over and over again. And then because of the, if you recall, the proximity of this site to the Starbucks drive-through and exit, that's sort of why it was configured the way it was in the front, which affected the parking spaces that we had exterior in the front. And on the plan I submitted, I had the analysis that we did under the old zone ordinance and the analysis we did under the new zone ordinance. You can see that in both of these we probably met most of the requirements. But what's now changed is the ones that were outlined in the petition with respect to the new zone ordinance. But the number of units, the building, the commitment of the developer with respect to, this project was approved before there was inclusionary zoning, and the developer made a substantial financial commitment based upon the number of units, which is probably more than he would have had to have had he waited for the, but I also note that they're changing as we speak again, the zone ordinance and its impact with respect to how they calculate affordability. But in terms of what has transpired, other than my seeking those approvals with respect to the zoning, an order of conditions was obtained from the Lynn Conservation Commission. It was valid until August of this year, but because it was there, and if you're familiar with the conservation world, you can extend an order of conditions by right for another 3 years. I had a little input on this one, but since the statute gave us 2 years, they elected to take the 2 years, which is August of 27, and then we get 3 more years if we had to, of just trying to protect their interests. We went to site plan review. They gave us a decision in, I think it was, January of 2023. And that, under the new zone ordinance, also has time limits that are in effect. But we think that with the Governor's Law Extension Act, we're just trying to get enough time to do it. That exists. And then, and also the governor's legislation had a zone increase. But at the end of the day, it's the same building with now satisfying the parking requirement. There's still the issue about some of the spaces at the front. The two new issues are the impervious lot coverage and the ratio of, I can't make the lot any bigger. And what was approved was, I think, 198, 208 feet, whatever the number was of the units. So when you do the math, that's where we're in violation. But I think that the same reasons that existed when the initial variance was granted are still valid. I think, in fact, as I say, the changes in the current zone ordinance, which is being changed once again, but I think most of those changes are to the benefit of the project. If you recall, the last time we were here, there was a parade of people who were up in arms, and I would think that they read and understood that $3 million to the Affordable Housing Trust was worth something. And mind you, this was before there was any requirement for either the gap formula or required number of units. So I did speak with Mr. Cowdell, because the mayor's development team is interested in getting it approved and built. I brought this little yellow configuration to just highlight the fact that it is of a regular shape. And as I say, the Conservation Commission gave us an order of condition with respect to the proximity and the floodplain and some of the other environmental issues. But from the perspective of what's really changed, it's the zone ordinance.
Any questions? Can you remind us how many units in total is it going to be?
Excuse me?
How many units?
I think I gotta look at this. I think the number stated two. I couldn't read the other one. It's 233.
Okay, 2/3. Yeah. Parking spaces.
And they, how many bedroom? They all 2-bedroom? Or they-
No, they're a mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is parking in the
And there's also commercial on the first floor.
first floor? So no residential areas are on the first floor.
No.
And how many parking spots are there?
347 when you count the garage and the exterior spaces, which is a hell of a lot better than the number we had earlier because it was 1.5 per dwelling unit.
And what is the commercial space out front?
Yeah, this is one of what's called mixed-use street level, so there's some retail spaces in here. The city's master plan is to have fronting along the Lynn, retail, commercial, that people could access off the Lynn. And so that would be where it would be placed.
So where's parking for the commercial and how does it come off of its way?
And then there's exterior back.
Okay.
So
Is parking designated for commercial use?
to the extent that the owner can do that, but what's required by the city is a requisite number. We surpassed that number.
Yeah, I'm just thinking flow of traffic, like people are coming
Well,
up.
people who live in residence need to have a garage space. I think every one of them can have a garage space because we now meet the number.
Right. But as far as what is the commercial space and the number of traffic.
The big issue, believe it or not, is not this parcel, but the adjoining parcel that's got a we tried to work with those folks so that they could keep the flow of the traffic to the Starbucks, which impacted this front portion. But it makes sense to keep the retail here and put those spaces as close to the retail as we can. You live in the building, you got space in the building.
Yeah. Where do the residents come in off of,
The garage entrance, I believe, comes in off of here. I'm looking at it upside down.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Correct.
The traffic flow would be coming in, and you see, and there's a garage on that,
Mm-hmm.
that holds, I think, 200
So how does the traffic get to the residences and how does the traffic get to the commercial space? Coming out the building?
There are two ways in. One is here, and one is here. So you can access, if you go into the store, you can access if you go into the garage. I think having an interior space is an advantage, especially in Winland, and hopefully it's a selling point.
Did planning board review the traffic flow of this?
Excuse me?
Did planning board review the traffic flow of this?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna, yeah, like, we all drive the Linway, and we know what it's like pulling in and out of businesses.
Yeah, and that's why I say that was a paramount concern over here.
Yeah, and so, and there's a turn right there, so my concern is people are gonna be pulling out of that business, looking to cross 2 lanes of traffic, to take the left, to make the U-turn, to come back the other way.
Well, I think there's a traffic light that's somewhere around here.
Yeah, so my concern is them exiting off when somebody's trying to enter. I don't have a problem with them entering because they're gonna be slowing down, the cars behind them will slow down. But if the car's coming in to pull in, the car's going to pull out, and the car pulls in and they don't see the car pulling out, that's an
I think the
accident.
line of sight is fine because the building is set back, so I mean, in terms of seeing a line of sight for vehicles entering or exiting,
Yeah.
the building, that's why the building is set right to the rear line.
Just commercial has a lot of traffic in and out, and I have concerns with that being a safety issue. The commercials go in and out of the same spot directly on the Linway.
One of the changes that they made in the new zoning ordinance is they reduced the percentage of commercial space that you need to have.
Yeah.
So it would be less than we initially thought because
Well, we all drive the circle at the end of Federal, in the little shopping plaza there, with one entrance in and out. And we all know when it's busy in that plaza and it's busy in traffic. It gets a little hectic right at that location,
the city.
because there's not enough commercials, and it impacts.
The city's solid job of improving shape
Yeah,
presentation at the Demarcus line.
yeah,
The city's plan is they have $20 million to spend of ARPA money to upgrade the Linwood. So their plan is, again, it's their plan. They see the only traffic on the Linwood being buses, bicycles, and people going, up to Marblehead, Swampscott, Salem, because they intend to put the traffic for trucks. They call this, on this side, they're gonna call it Navy Road. On this side, it's gonna be an extension of Circle Ave, and they're gonna put roadways connecting those two across the line. That's their plan. And they have, as I said, $20 million to spend over the next few years to bring upgrades to the Linwood. They're taking that into consideration, because across the street, 385, the shipwreck, on what used to be the flea market side of it.
I just have a problem with them exiting that opening onto the Linway.
This is how it's being presented on the website. With the renderings.
So they can,
The shipwreck goes the road goes parallel to the Walnut crossing over, and another one down further, where the Kentucky Fried Chicken is crossing over. And the truck traffic would be on the adjacent streets and not allowed on the Linwood.
I think entering there and exiting there, they're gonna cut across.
Are there units that are going to be designated affordable, or was the payment into the trust of having affordable units?
12 times that.
He needs to come up here.
I submitted in the last time.
Attorney Vitale, could you, on the mic, please, so we can have it on the record.
Oh, I submitted a complete set of plans when we were here last that had all the floor plans, the elevation, but none of that has changed. None of that has changed.
Are there a number of units that are designated affordable?
Excuse me?
Are there a number of units that are designated affordable or that are deed restricted or
There are, no, but this project was approved before affordable housing. The agreement was to pay $3 million to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund,
Right.
which, if you did the calculations today, is a windfall for the trust.
Sure.
I will tell you honestly that when I think we were the first or second people through the mayor's development team, and they asked about affordable housing, and my client went to the housing authority and worked with them and negotiated an arrangement to pay $500,000 increments to the Affordable Housing Trust. It was subsequent to that they adopted.
Right.
But you could, even now, under that, you can, there's a formula they use called a gap formula to sort of buy your way out. But part of it is, I think, my recollection is we had some family units, which is, they weren't all one bedrooms or studios. There were ones, there were twos, and there were threes. I think that whole end of the Linway, that's why they got this plan called the SHIP plan, the South Harbor Improvement Plan, and they already had the master plan that talked about, was an argument I made to no avail. I said at that mayor's development meeting, the master plan for the Linway said it would be luxury apartments or condominiums. And I was told politely, that was then and this is now. And my client heard that message and went and negotiated with the housing authority and made a substantial offer, which I don't think anybody else has come anywhere near.
I have a question related to, so Concom has already weighed in,
Yeah.
planning board. This still hasn't gone to MIPA.
I don't think we're within the, are you talking about the size of the project given?
State, MIPA.
I don't believe that they've gone. I know on the other side of the street, because of the proximity to the designated port area, there's an involvement there with the conservation people of the state, the DCR, but the roadway is under the control of DCR as well.
Related to the parking lots, I believe at the time there was some mention about electric vehicles, charging stations, and parking spaces. Is that identified in the plans?
The spaces that are listed at the bottom here in terms of there's like 7 compact spaces. And essentially we tried to put those smaller spaces along the front. But as I say, the change in the zone ordinance gave us more room to put vehicles inside.
Okay, but electric vehicle.
Yes.
Station.
Charging stations?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. That's absolutely.
That's in the plan.
None of the prior decision changes.
Okay.
But with that, we're not in compliance with the new one. So that's why we're here. Yeah, that was one of the conditions. It was a stipulation. I think I got that here. It said, minimal revisions. That's why we made no revisions in the building. So I think we satisfied that. Parking will be provided for EV vehicles. That's what it said in the decision, the stipulation.
So when the residences leave, how do they leave the site?
They exit the garage and onto the Linway southbound.
Is that through the sea?
Because I think you can't turn until you get to that traffic light.
So they have to go through the traffic light, correct?
I think the traffic light's about here, is my recollection. Yeah.
So when they come out to there, they use the traffic light to turn either way.
Well, if you're gonna change the direction, but otherwise you're gonna walk up the General Edwards Bridge and go south.
Yeah, so, but you still gotta go through the signalized intersection to take the right.
Yeah, but the plan the city has is to put a roadway this way,
Yeah,
with a Walmart.
right.
If you want to run a road adjacent across.
It'll still be signalized across, unless they're doing an overpass across the Linway.
But again, they have 20 million, when they're going to be construction, I don't know, but they call it the South Harbor Improvement Plan.
I just would like to see all traffic exiting the property to exit through that.
Circulation?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
You
can
can
come,
add that now.
yeah. Not exit at that point.
Yeah.
They can come in that point safely, but I don't think they can come out there safely.
Do you know what the unit split is in the proposed plans between 2, 3s, and 1 units?
I could get you I don't recollect the mix, but I know that it was an earlier question about were they all one bed. The answer to that is no, they're not all one bed. And I think that, as I say, the new zone ordinance actually helps this project. It reduces the amount of commercial space that needs to front on the laneway. It changed the parking ratio. But the other trade-off is it added things like the impervious lot coverage that, I mean, if you saw the lot, that's what it is, but that doesn't mean we can't, as was suggested in the previous cases, there are ways. Ultimately, the building's going to get torn down, the lot's going to get torn up. So I think that with respect to that, but part of what Mr. Olson's concern is why the building was pushed as far back as it was. I mean, it's right to the rear line.
And then in terms of parking also, are there any bike parking spaces within the lot as well?
The answer is I don't know, but that could be easily addressed, yeah. I can ask. I know that they were aware about the charging stations, because I explained to them that one doesn't trump the other, that ultimately it's both approvals. It's the sum of the approvals.
Any other questions?
I guess, never mind. I was going to ask about affordable housing. It does seem online that it's going to be 100% market. So that's just going to go into the trust fund,
Yeah.
And the payment hasn't occurred. It'll occur at a certain point. The
Yeah.
payment that it was agreed with the city towards the
Yeah,
million.
oh yeah, that's a part of the agreement.
But that hasn't occurred yet. That
No,
will
because
occur once.
the first part is, after site plan review, you have to file, there's a difference in these drawings. There's what's called working drawings. So there was a set of drawings that was used that showed drainage and those calculations at site plan review. And then you go to what's called working drawings, which is like how to build it. And when you do that, that's when it kicks in.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Vitale. Anybody here in attendance that would like to speak in favor of the petition, 811 Linway?
Calvin Anderson, 12 Concord Street in Lynn. I was waiting for this to come up again because this is an opportunity to revitalize that area from the General Edwards Bridge. You know, everybody knows the old defunct auto repair, and this one was a car dealership, and it's what the new master plan is all about. I was in favor of it earlier. I'm even more in favor of it now with the added caveats of addressing the parking. Now, I just have some standard things I'd like to go into is the whole thing about the pervious surfaces. There are ways, engineering-wise, becoming more and more common, especially in Europe, to make parking areas pervious. There's at least 3 ways, and they can do a combination of any of them. So that can be done. I was on record for the Le Corbusier roof garden idea. It's a perfect place for that. If they want to develop some kind of outdoor space for the residents, it's right on the beach. It's got skyline views, Nahant views, everything views. Like to see some sustainable energy. A big building like this could be perfect for roof-type solar, geothermal and wind. Arboreal shade elements, tree canopies outside should be part of the elements. Now, I do like the idea that there's a designated in and out, I guess is coming up because it's all along the south facing. And the good thing is this is being planned concurrently with the new reinventing and master plan for the Linway. So working with the developers, they will make sure, you know how the state DOT does things. They like things right with the radius and adding the dedicated bicycle lanes are coming up and bus lanes, et cetera. Most important that I want to just add that has nothing to do with the record of being in support of this is recently I've come to find out Mr. Vance, who was a point person, he's called manager. I don't know if he's a owner and part of a consortium or whatever, but he's just the type of developer we want in our city. To me recently, he used the words, yes, would like to help out and contribute to the community, all in the same sentence, and that's important. So I'm in favor of that and I'm in favor of this project.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to speak in favor of the petition that might be in attendance? Anybody else? Seeing none. Anybody else who would like to speak now against the petition 811 Linway? Anybody here in attendance? Seeing none. What is the wish of the board?
I just had a question. There is a lot of roof to this building and drainage. I don't know where it's going. Is there a way to mitigate the peak runoff from that roof drainage, whether it's some storage to sort of detain it a little bit and release it slower so it doesn't have an impact on the receiving waters in the area? It's a parking lot now, but it's an opportunity to improve that site, and that would sort of mimic what an impervious area would, what a pervious area would do to the site. It reduces the runoff.
Is that a stipulation?
Yeah, I'd like to see them mitigate some of the runoff, peak runoff from the site.
Okay.
Whether through storage, let them decide how they design it, but mitigate it.
Okay. Address stormwater runoff.
Yeah. Our regulations call for a certain amount of impervious. They could mimic what that is through creative design.
Yeah, I'm inclined to support this. I think it aligns with it aligns with vision, and I want people to get creative with the impervious. Like, I understand it's difficult, but I'm not inclined to vary it every time because it's hard. Like that, the zoning board put it in the new regulations with the expectation that it would be met. So I think it's time for folks to start getting creative on that front.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Olson, is this a motion to grant with that stipulation?
A motion to grant with that stipulation, as well as the traffic flow to the commercial area. I don't think we should exit directly to the traffic flow anyway. I think it needs to go through the signalized intersection.
So that's a second stipulation. Not a stipulation, but I would like to see the finalized parking with the identified EV parking spots and just have that. That would be great. I know that I raised that at the time when we were reviewing this. Would like that follow-up.
I think Mr. Kylie's was looking for some sort of bike corrals for the residents.
Yes.
Yeah, at least any detailed plans of what it is, just to align it with what the Vision Lynn project is and that multimodal road. So if we are going to have high net worth individuals and people who aren't necessarily from the community, at least they should be pushed into the community and communicate with the existing businesses for that economic mobility.
Be given the opportunity to use other modes is very important. Is that a stipulation that you're suggesting, or?
Yes, stipulation to add plans of bike storage.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Mr. Olson?
Yes.
It's your
Amended.
motion. Okay.
Okay. Any more stipulations?
Not for my end.
Okay.
Would it be possible to get clarity on the allotment to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund?
In relation, do you want like do you want the board to receive the agreement or some other paper trail? What?
It could just be an agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Attorney Lamont, do you know that exists currently?
It does exist. It's paid out over a number of years. That was negotiated. I don't know the details because this is an older project.
Yeah.
And there are other attorneys that will work with the Affordable Housing Trust.
But there's no concerns, at least from your end, of the board having knowledge of the details of that agreement?
It's a public record. That's absolutely the proper agreement.
Great.
I just want to make sure it's implemented.
All right.
Okay, so, it's you want to do the stormwater runoff, you want the roof drainage, mitigate the runoff, peak of the runoff, to contain it somewhere, and have no impact on the area, improve the site and mimic the pervious site. You want to do, create a design for the traffic flow to go through the signal.
Yeah. No, the commercial, there should be no exit directly to the Linway from the commercial.
No exit to Linway? Okay,
It can be an entrance. I think they can safely turn there.
entrance only.
I think that'll be a problem, both for pedestrians and vehicles.
Finalize the parking plan with the EV parking spots and the chargers.
Identified, yeah.
Identify them.
The order from.
You want a landing spot for the bikes and a plan where they're going to be corralled and stored. And you also want the agreement on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and how it's paid out. Okay. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Member payers, with all the stipulations.
Motion to grant with stipulations.
Member Gilrain, with all the stipulations.
Yes.
Member Christopher, with all the stipulations.
Yes.
Member Olson, with all the stipulations.
Yes, to grant the stipulations.
Member Lopez Hernandez, to grant with the stipulations.
Yes, to grant with stipulation. All right. We have our final case tonight. Case number 10129, 150 Blossom Street. We'll have a reading of the case.
150 Blossom Street, Lynn, Massachusetts, parcel
Yeah,
number
I'll send that to you.
067-745-032. Brian M. Jones, manager, KJ Real Estate Management, LLC, 922 Flowery Drive, New Bedford, Massachusetts, 02745, by its attorney, Thomas C. Demakis, DBA case 10129, to vary pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 10 of the provisions of the City of Lynn Zone Ordinance to allow the demolition of an existing building and to allow the construction of a new building with less than the required minimum ground floor, clear floor to floor height of 21 feet for a portion of the ground floor. The variance request requires the zoning board of appeals to specifically find, knowing the circumstances relating to the soil conditions, shape or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located. A literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of such ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. And before we have the opening remarks from the petitioner, we did receive two communications, one from the Economic Development Industrial Corporation, as well as from Councilor Hogan, which we will read both just to have it on the record, and then we can proceed.
Letter dated December 2nd from James Cowdell, Executive Director of EDIC. I am writing to you on behalf of the development team regarding the petition at 150 Blossom Street. The petitioner, PSC, and their attorney, Thomas Demakis, met with the development team on October 20th, 2025. The development team members at the meeting included Mayor Nicholson, City Planner Aaron Clausen, EDIC Director Jim Caldwell, Jeff Whedon, LHAND, Jamie Marsh, Community Development Director, Board Councilor Fred Hogan, and Dania Smith, Policy Director for Mayor Nicholson. PSC is a family-owned business that will bring good-paying jobs to Lynn. They will remove an eyesore and invest millions of dollars into that area. They will try to establish a partnership with LBTI in creating a pipeline for jobs. The development team strongly endorses this project, and we hope that your honorable body acts in favor of the petition.
Mr. Olson, and will be Councilor Hogan.
Council Hogan addressed to the board. Dear Chairman Lopez Hernandez, as you are aware, I am the duly elected Ward 6 Councilor for the City of Lynn. In my capacity as Ward Councilor, I am writing this letter in support of a petition for a variance to construct a plumbing supply business at 150 Blossom Street. Currently, the property houses a long-closed newspaper printing facility that has been a blight on the neighborhood for many years. Prior owners have allowed landscaping vehicles and commercial vehicles to park on site unlawfully, necessitating near constant city enforcement action. Neighbors have regularly contacted me during the past several years to complain about the neglected, underutilized, underdeveloped property at 150 Blossom Street. The developer is proposing to demolish the existing neglected structure and construct a new state-of-the-art facility. This project will create new jobs for local residents and much-needed tax revenue for the city. The nature of the plumbing supply business is consistent with the commercial nature of the neighborhood and will cause minimal disruption to the adjoining landowners. As the Ward 6 Council representing this neighborhood, fully support this project and urge the Zoning Board of Appeals to act favorably on the petition.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. The hearing from the petitioner.
Good evening. My name is Tom DeMarcus. I'm a lawyer with offices here in Lynn, and I represent Plumber's Supply Company, which has entered into a purchase and sale agreement to buy the old North Shore News building at 150 Blossom Street. They plan to knock the building down to start over and build a new building, which will include office space, warehouse space, and a customer service area. Plumber's Supply Company is a third-generation family-owned business. They sell plumbing and HVAC parts and equipment, primarily at retail and to contractors as a distribution facility. They're headquartered in New Bedford, and they have 20 other locations in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. They have more than 300 employees, and they expect to add 15 full-time jobs in Lynn. Right now, we can show you some stuff. This is an aerial shot of the existing building, which, as you can see, is on Blossom Street, 150 Blossom Street on the corner of Valley Street. He's the owner of the company, okay, so. This is an existing condition site plan. This is a proposed site plan. Proposed aerial shot, the aerial shot of the neighborhood with the new building superimposed in. And this is the crux of why we're here. We're proceeding under the new zoning ordinance, and we comply with the new zoning ordinance in every respect, except that it has a kind of, what to me is a weird requirement, that there's a minimum 21-foot clearance necessary from the ground floor to whatever's above it. And for them to make this project work, they have to have a mezzanine of about the ground floor, the footprint of the building is about 28,000 square feet. And for storage, they need a mezzanine of about 9,000 square feet. And this is the mezzanine. And from the ground floor to the mezzanine is only about 12 feet. It doesn't have the 21-foot clearance. So 2/3 of the building has the 21-foot clearance, but that area where the mezzanine is does not have the clearance. And that's why we're here, just so you can see. They're gonna, I know you probably haven't had a chance to go to their website, but they have pictures of all their other facilities. They're all really nice, attractive buildings, and they're gonna build a nice, attractive building here. This is the front elevation from Bob Blossom Street. This is what the side-facing alley street is gonna look like. And these are the other two elevations. And just for comparison, that's what we have now. Basically, an old rundown, decrepit building. They're paying $4.3 million for the land. The building is going to cost about $8 million. By the time they put the racking and the shelving and the inventory in there, that's going to be another $2 or $3 million. So they're going to put about 14 to 15 million, make a 14 or $15 million investment into the city of Lynn. As you've already heard from Mr. Olson's reading of the two letters of support from the mayor's development team and from City Council Hogan, both of those, the mayor's development team and Councilor Hogan, are very bullish on this project. Brian Jones is the CFO and one of the owners of the company, and Steve Smith is the vice president. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you very much.
The clearance. You mentioned that's a zoning requirement?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. So obviously when you're getting deliveries, you need the high clearance for, forklifts, that sort of thing. What's the space underneath that mezzanine area being?
It's a sales area. I'll show you.
So it'll be walled off then from sort of the main warehouse area?
So so this would be basically these would be the main entrance for the contractors or homeowner coming into the space. So you'd have a service team that's working here. Typically, what happens is the orders are placed here. And then there would be usually small parts, pieces, PVC fittings, things of that nature, that would be underneath the mezzanine area here. Which is underneath the 12-foot height there.
And so is that walled off from the rest of the warehouse?
This here would be all walled off. Yes, yeah, that would all be.
Okay, so anything coming from delivery, what's it go around the back there?
Yeah, so for the most part, the deliveries would be set up on this side here, and then a lot of the bulk storage and high racking.
Yeah.
Typically, we thought about like walking into a Home Depot.
Right.
Would be down in the side over here.
So they won't be going through that underneath.
Customers and such, they would not. No, they would just be employees.
So what's above that parts area?
This here?
Yeah.
That would be additional storage above there. So there are more parts and pieces that wouldn't fit overflow from this area here.
And so is that the same type of materials? And how do you get up there from this level?
The staircase is right here up to the mezzanine. So someone can walk out the door right here and up the steps to the mezzanine up there.
So there's two.
What is on the mezzanine is like frontage products, metal fitting, stuff like that, because our guys are gonna go up, pick it by hand and cap it down, so.
Okay, and there's two staircases I see on either side, two means of egress.
Yes. By the way, Mr. Olson and everybody else, what I failed to point out is over here is a 72-unit apartment building at 164 Blossom Street.
Yeah.
And the old building had the loading docks on Blossom Street.
Yeah, so they didn't.
And one of the advantages of among many of building a new building is the loading docks are going to be here. And they've designed it in such a way, it's kind of a funky shape. The lot is a funky shape. First of all, it's a corner lot. Secondly, now it kind of curves this way. But notwithstanding that, they've been able to design it. These are the three loading docks. so the trucks will be able to pull in and back out without ever having to block traffic on Alley Street. Yes, that's a very nice feature of the design. In addition to protecting these people from noise.
The building's gonna be sprinklered?
Yes.
Yep. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. All right. Anybody here in attendance that would like to speak in favor of the petition 150 Blossom Street?
Calvin Anderson, 12 Conklin Street in Lynn. And this is a neighborhood we're all watching transform. And if you know this building, it's been an eyesore for years. It's a corner lot, which is important. That's always a gateway. Now, I understand about the 21 feet. That was just a recent zoning addition or change, I think about 6 months ago. And there was one person at the public hearing who was, I think he's a developer of the former Westland Creamery. And he took a little umbrage to it because that's an existing building, and he says it's going to be kind of hard to comply with that. So don't be surprised if there's some pictures like that coming before you coming up, if they want to redesign, but still do it. The idea, I guess, was to encourage more industrial and light industrial that's typically needs some higher ceilings in that neighborhood. This one seems to be a good hybrid because most of the clearance complies, and the mezzanine, to me, seems like if in 50 years other business comes in, but it's hard to see a stage family business like this failing. But it seems to me that from the looks of the building, it's sort of a prefab building, but maybe the mezzanine could be taken out or removed in future, so it doesn't confine it to a whole second story. I'd like to just add my standard, not stipulations, but suggestions that they look into some geothermal, make sure that there's a vast parking lot, it looks like, make sure that that has some kind of permeable surfaces. Now, it also occurred to me, it's right down the street from our favorite non-dealership repair row, and if there's any extra parking spaces that they could maybe rent out to some of the local shops, maybe they could entertain that, because the parking down there, if they start having 3 cars come in and they're all done and people aren't picking them up till 5, ask the parking director. That whole stretch through there gets kind of backed up with people trying to comply with the legal street parking rules, but sometimes it just bursts at the seams just because of the very nature of the neighborhood. So I'm just asking if through the chair, maybe they could ask, would there be a way for renting out or making some, usually for the done cars. Hi, they're done. Let's go get it for you when it's done. Things like that. Anyway, I'm in favor of this, and I can't wait for shovels in the ground.
Thank you very much. Anybody else here in attendance that would like to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none. Anybody here who would like to speak against the petition? Seeing none. What is the wish of the board?
I'm in favor of passing this. Is there any plans for landscaping along Blossom Street? Just sort of screen it?
Along Blossom Street, yeah, well, not on the lot, but they're gonna plant trees along the sidewalk, and as a matter of fact, they're gonna redo that whole sidewalk.
Right.
There is existing landscaping between the parking lot and Blossom Street. That's going to be done and serious.
Okay. Okay.
So, hearing a motion to grant?
You
I'll move to grant the petition.
second it? Okay. And do we want that for stipulation on the green space?
What was,
It shows on the plan, yes.
Oh, it shows it.
I don't want to wrestle with that board again.
Just,
Inside, I have a smaller version.
yeah. I just like that it improved. It's been neglected, the whole site, including the landscaping, to at least give it a shot in the arm and then,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we all on the property will take one part of it. And,
Yeah.
I think it'll look great when it's done.
Yeah, and it's one of the areas where you come off the Linway
Yeah.
into the city, so it's
visible.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more visible over time.
Sure.
I hope you can see this. See the
Yes.
green around the building as well. That, this is Blossom Street here.
Yeah. Yeah, it just provides a little insulator there that,
Yeah.
I know you need the parking for the trucks and for people in Cumberland's business, so. You gotta be able to deliver and you gotta be able to sell.
I'm curious, is the fencing on the side by the apartments, is that fencing currently that I'm seeing here, is that by the developer of the apartments, or is that, okay, it's totally okay.
So between you and the apartment building, 164.
There's a fencing with a cement base.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that was with the apartment.
On Blossom Street.
I'm trying to visualize
So some of that fencing is new, the apartments
Yeah.
did that, towards the back of the property, some fences all collapsed, so that would be replaced.
That kind of makes sense because it looks like 150 Blossom extends further back on this side from Blossom Street than the apartment building does. So they probably put a new fence in here. But is this part back here that you talked about, Steve? From the back of the apartment building, back to the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually got like a wall, but the fence is on the wall, and they got a row of arborvitae's behind it. I call that engineering.
Our landscaping is also significant, so that's
But it's just, it's just scrub grass and whatnot there, just to kind of
get it cleaned up.
clean up the site.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
No stipulations,
not from my end.
Just
landscape.
Landscaping, having a landscaping plan, how it's gonna shape up.
Do you want a certified one?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what this.
Oh, no, I was asking him.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that,
I don't even need certified, but just have.
yeah, just having the end product of how the
Landscaping
landscaping will look. Yeah,
Landscaping.
once the plans are developed.
Yeah.
So they can look at it and stuff. Okay. To grant with the stipulation that they show a landscaping plan to the board. Member Payas,
Motion to grant with stipulations.
Member Gilrain,
Yes.
Member Christopher,
Yes, to pass.
Member Olson,
Yes, the grant is stipulation.
Member Lopez Hernandez.
Just to grant the stipulations. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Well, this is.
I got a brother-in-law.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
He's on Cape, so I figure I'll see him more now.
So this is our final meeting of the calendar year. We'll see some of you next year, but some of other members no. So wishing good luck to those who will no longer be with us next year. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Make the motion. Yeah. Be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen by motion.
Make the motion to adjourn, please.
All right. I second that motion from member and councilor-elect Payas, and we are adjourned if all of us say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.